This morning, on my way to work, I was listening to a sister radio station. That's the BBC. I listen to the BBC a lot just to catch up with a lot of things happening all over the world when I wake up. What struck me about the news bulletin, it was somewhere around 4, was elections that were coming up in Zambia. I'm sure you're wondering where this is going. Zambia will be having an elections in the coming weeks. Normally, when you have conversations about elections in Africa, it is almost impossible not to have a conversation about corruption in any way or form. It is almost impossible. All the other ones, it looks like it's normal service, standard of living, cost of living, construction, roads, infrastructure. Those things appear to be an everyday conversation when it comes to elections in our part of the world. But it's very rare to have an election in our part of the world and there's no conversation on corruption. And Zambia is a country that I've read fairly well. This is a country that had independence in 1964, with Kenneth Kaunda leading the country for up to 27 years. He left in 1991. Frederick Chiluba came in, booted out as a result of corruption. The likes of Michael Sata and so many others, Edgar Lungu and all of that, have come in on the back of dealing with us, only for them to come in and have made it worse. So a few years ago, Zambians took a decision to vote for an individual who had been campaigning and contesting to lead the country for 20 years. His name was Hakainde Hichilema. He started contesting as far back as 2006 or so, until finally he won in the last presidential election that was held. Now, this was a billionaire. He's the richest man in Zambia. And he's not made his money from government jobs, which is surprising for rich people in our part of the world. It's very surprising that he had not made his money from government jobs. He had made his money by going to school, studying and leaving the University of Birmingham, and starting business on his own. He owns probably one of the largest ranches in Africa. He has a company that provides milk and butter and all of those things. And he's invested into so many other areas as well. So he's a very rich man. What I found very amusing about the report I was listening to on BBC this morning was that the opposition leader in Zambia is not campaigning against a corrupt leader. He never said in an interview that he granted the BBC that Zambians should vote Hakainde Hichilema out because he was corrupt. But he only said he was not delivering on the promises he made. Now, there was a very interesting question that was posed to him by the BBC presenter. The opposition leader today was part of Edgar Lungu's government, who was booted out in the last 2 elections. When he was leaving, or when their party was exiting, inflation was as high as 24%. He claims he wants to come in and do things differently in Zambia. Guess what the inflation rate is in Zambia as we speak? 6.5. When you were leaving, it was 24. Someone has brought it to 6.5. You see the person is not performing. And in almost all the other areas that he says that he's going to improve, I'm not campaigning for him, but I'm sure you are following the trajectory. Almost all the other areas that he claims he wants to do better, the current government appears to have done better than when he was a minister serving under Edgar Lungu. What is the point I want to raise here? It is very rare that a conversation on an election in Africa is not based on corruption. So there are still some decent people out there on the continent who are working very hard, making their own money, probably before getting into politics and trying to serve. But sadly, what do we see here? What do we observe here? In your lifetime, what have you seen? What have you observed? People who have sometimes just left school, zero work experience anywhere. They control all the money here. People who have only found their way into politics. Before they went into politics, they live in the same neighborhoods with you. They are your friends. They are your family people. They had next to nothing. But having been into politics in Ghana in the last 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, they appear to own the whole Ghana. Where have they made the money from? When was the last time there was a conversation on an election in Ghana and there was no focus on corruption? One party accusing the other of corruption-related activities. And it's not just a case of an accusation. The allegations are laid bare, and most of them turn out to be true. People just come in and loot and loot and loot and loot without doing very little as far as improving the standards of living of the people are concerned. These are the people who mount platforms and tell you that they are coming in to serve you. But what do you see? This morning when I was reviewing the newspapers, you saw the stories that I picked. They were all pretty much in line with this conversation that I was going to have. Because it's all about an opportunity to serve and an opportunity to change the lives of the people. Whether we're going to be doing well at the university level and coming out with people to land jobs and take the economy to the next level is going to come out from who we are churning out as graduates. But what is the level of funding that is going into these universities? A lot of these funds have ended up in people's pockets. Our young men who want to serve in the security agencies, a lot of them, trust me, are not interested in working for fire service. They are not interested in working for immigration or Ghana police service. They wish that they found themselves doing something else. But as a result of leaving school and having no jobs, they don't have any other option than to go there. We have had leaders who have come in to literally loot. Instead of investing all of these same funds into opportunities for you and me, we barely get little opportunities. $200 million has been sunk into Saglemi so that somebody like you and me can get an opportunity to lay our head somewhere. That building is rotting away, yet no one is being held accountable for that nonsense. These are the kind of leaders we elect here to take decisions that would influence your life and to take decisions that would influence my life. At least I'm happy to report that in Zambia, the current president is not being accused of being corrupt. But he's not meeting certain standards that he promised. Here, it is almost impossible. Almost impossible. Why? Because it's a daily thing. You and I see it. But some of us, by virtue of the fact that we are so aligned to our political parties, even when it is clear to everyone that there is thievery and there is corruption, correct. Because you get to benefits. And I don't blame you. We live in an environment where it is almost impossible to make things happen for yourself. Chances are that if you are not depending on someone, if you don't know someone, if you are not depending on someone, opportunities are very limited. Ask that your friend who is leaving university, and a lot of them are calling you and asking you, Charlie, you go fee sort me. A lot of them are calling you and asking you for pittance. Sometimes they've stayed at home for a year, 2 years, 3 years. They have not found jobs. So they are calling you and asking, Charlie, you go fee send me some coins. A lot of our young people have gone into betting because there are very little opportunities for them to go to the next level. You would say it is wrong. But when you wake up and you are hungry, you'd understand why some of them have gone into that industry. And I'm not here with the greatest of respects. I'm not here pushing them to go into this. Because someone would also argue, then maybe somebody should go and steal. Then maybe somebody should go into prostitution and all of that. They are all wrong. I admit that. They are all wrong. But when people are pushed because of very little opportunities, people are desperate. They are willing to do anything, even when they are wrong. Even when they are wrong.